Welcome to First News Broadcast, your trusted source for breaking news and in-depth analysis.
The story 4, The Life and Legacies of Pope Francis. His religious style was to live very simply. Crotty. Pope Francis, a humble leader's impact on the Church and his final resting place among the marginalized. Pope Francis transformed the papacy with humility and focus on the marginalized. As the first Latin American pope, he adopted a simpler style, emphasizing the dignity of the poor and marginalized. He faced criticism for insufficient action on clerical sexual abuse while advocating for the Church's traditional teachings. Pope Francis' death during Easter signifies his deep commitment to the gospel. His passing is seen as a loss for Catholics, akin to losing a father figure. The timing of his death in Holy Week resonates with themes of resurrection and faith. Pope Francis has deep devotion to Our Lady, choosing to be buried at Santa Maria Major. Santa Maria Major is the first church dedicated to Our Lady, highlighting its significance in Catholic tradition. Pope Francis entrusted his priesthood and papacy to Our Lady, reaffirming his commitment through regular visits to the basilica. Pope Francis lived simply, valuing community and humility. He chose to reside in Casa Santa Marta after his election, emphasizing a communal lifestyle. His interactions with people during meals showcased his approachable and humble nature. Pope Francis's pastoral approach fosters unity amid diverse church views. Despite his liberal image, Pope Francis emphasized compassion over categorization, aiming to bridge divides within the Church. His outreach to marginalized groups faced resistance from traditionalists, highlighting the ongoing tension in the Church's response to modern issues. Pope Francis emphasizes mercy while maintaining traditional Church teachings. He dedicated a year to mercy in 2015, encouraging all believers to be instruments of mercy. While softening language on issues like divorce and same-sex marriage, he upheld the Church's core doctrines. Pope Francis engages globally, promoting peace and emphasizing interfaith respect. His pastoral experience enhances the papacy's relevance, reflecting a modern sensitivity in leadership. Recognized as a moral authority, he addresses global conflicts, advocating for peace in various regions. Pope Francis promotes peace and justice as central to his ministry. His papacy emphasizes the importance of peace as a reflection of Christ's teachings. He advocates for marginalized communities, highlighting issues like migration and poverty. Pope Francis' funeral arrangements are being decided by the cardinals. Cardinals will meet tomorrow to finalize the date and details of Pope Francis' funeral. A lying-in state is expected at St. Peter's Basilica for 3 days before the funeral. The key insights for The Life and Legacies of Pope Francis. His religious style was to live very simply. Crotty. Papal simplicity and humility. Pope Francis, the first Latin American pope, is noted for his preference for a simple lifestyle, shunning the traditional trappings of papal power and privilege. He was known for spending time with marginalized individuals, choosing to be with the homeless rather than indulging in the ecclesiastical status that typically accompanies the papacy. In death, he opted for a simple burial in a wooden and zinc casket at the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, rather than the Vatican, reflecting his commitment to humility. Key changes in papal approach. Pope Francis introduced a softer tone in the Church's approach to complex issues like gay marriage and divorce, while maintaining traditional Catholic teachings. His papacy was marked by the need for reform within the Church, especially concerning the handling of sexual abuse scandals, where he called for accountability but faced criticism for perceived inaction against bishops. His leadership style emphasized mercy and compassion, aiming to distinguish between the sinner and the sin, fostering an inclusive atmosphere for individuals in difficult situations. Global engagement and outreach. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis actively engaged in global issues, advocating for peace in conflict zones, addressing migration crises, and supporting marginalized communities. He was recognized as a moral authority, forming relationships with leaders across different faiths and cultures, enhancing the Catholic Church's role on the world stage. His messages often included calls for justice, peace, and reconciliation, as seen in his Easter Sunday address where he highlighted various global conflicts. Legacy and impact. Pope Francis's legacy is characterized by his commitment to the gospel and a pastoral approach, impacting both the Catholic Church and broader societal values. His election in 2013 was seen as unexpected, yet he brought a fresh perspective that resonated with many, particularly in the context of contemporary issues facing the Church. His death during Holy Week is viewed by many as a significant testament to his faith and service, drawing parallels to previous popes and marking the end of an era defined by profound simplicity and outreach. The spiritual journey for The Life and Legacies of Pope Francis. His religious style was to live very simply. Crotty. Pope Francis, a transformative papacy. A humble beginning. Pope Francis, born Jorge Bergoglio, became the first Latin American pope when he was elected in 2013. His election marked a significant shift in the papacy, as he eschewed the traditional grandeur associated with the Vatican, opting instead for a more humble lifestyle. Known for his simplicity, he frequently chose to live in community at the Casa Santa Marta rather than the papal apartments, embodying a compassionate approach to leadership. Advocacy for the marginalized. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis emphasized the inherent dignity of all individuals, particularly the poor and marginalized. He was a vocal advocate for social justice, consistently calling for the Church to prioritize those in need. His outreach extended to various social issues, including homelessness and immigration, reflecting his commitment to living the gospel and serving the most vulnerable in society. Controversies and challenges. Despite his progressive rhetoric, Pope Francis faced significant challenges, notably the persistent issue of child sexual abuse within the Church. While he sought to address these scandals and urged action against cover-ups, critics argued that he failed to hold bishops accountable adequately. This tension highlighted the complexities of his leadership, as he attempted to navigate between traditional church doctrines and the call for reform. A legacy of mercy. Pope Francis's papacy was characterized by a profound emphasis on mercy. He often distinguished between the sinner and the sin, promoting a message of compassion rather than condemnation. His initiatives, such as the Year of Mercy in 2015, underscored his belief in the need for forgiveness and understanding within the Church. Although he softened the Church's language on issues like divorce and same-sex marriage, he did not alter the Church's core teachings, aiming instead to foster a more inclusive dialogue. A unique departure. In death, Pope Francis chose to be buried not in the Vatican but in the Basilica of St. Maria Maggiore, a site significant to immigrants in Rome. His decision to forego traditional burial practices, such as being interred in elaborate coffins, further illustrated his commitment to simplicity and humility. This final act encapsulated his legacy as a pope who prioritized the values of service, community, and compassion over the trappings of power. Global impact and recognition. Pope Francis's influence extended beyond the Catholic Church, as he engaged with leaders of other faiths and advocated for global peace. His messages addressed various international conflicts, including tensions in the Middle East and Africa, showcasing his role as a moral authority on the world stage. His ability to connect with people from diverse backgrounds underscored his unique position as a leader who sought to bridge divisions through dialogue and mutual respect.
Thank you for tuning in to First News Broadcast, as we witnessed history in the making.